I mean, listen, Marshawn Lynch sitting for the national anthem is something not new. He's been doing it since he was on the Seattle Seahawks. So this is nothing new. It's just getting more attention now because Colin Kaepernick, you know, was known for doing that, and he's still not employed. But here's the thing I want to talk about, man. We don't need symbolic victories because, again, in my video where I talked about the only effective way to boycott the NFL is the players have to be involved. They have to completely sit out and sacrifice their paycheck, which they will never do. So, sitting for the national anthem is a symbolic victory. The white supremacists are still going to complain to Roger Goodell and the sponsors and say, hey, these niggers have to stand and respect our country. We're the real Americans. These are the players. They're supposed to play, right? That's what they're thinking. And so, you had Marshawn Lynch, you had Michael Bennett of the Seattle Seahawks. They sat, and I think of other players as well. They sat in respect to Colin Kaepernick and what he's trying to do, especially, raising awareness against domestic terrorism of race soldiers in this country, AKA police brutality, right? But like I said, this boycott won't work. And I did talk about the change.org petition, which they actually updated. Because during my video, I said, you guys are going to have to get sponsors, boycott the sponsors involved. And lo and behold, now they have a list of sponsors here to boycott. But again, like I said, black people are not ready for that because we are too dependent on their resources. Are we going to actually stop buying these products? Really? Including what you're listening to right now, a Google infrastructure, right? Are you going to stop going on YouTube? Are you going to stop using your email on Gmail? You're going to stop using Apple iPhone, stuff like that? All of these sponsors are connected with one another. These lists of sponsors that I talked about. Consumer boycotting is something that the dominant white society always does. And I talked about that. This list was not here when I originally talked about it. Now they updated it. So either apparently they watched my video or something happened. But again, it's still incomplete because the players have to sit out and sacrifice their paychecks in order for this boycott, this hashtag, no Kaepernick, no NFL, to be effective. I know some guys are saying, well, boycotting is indefinite. We're not going to support it at all. That's cool. But at the same time, if you're going to boycott the NFL, you have to boycott everything else attached to it. Right? That's including the sponsors that's affiliated with it. You got to boycott that as well, indefinitely. Okay? So you better be prepared to, if you got a Verizon account, switch to something else or start your own infrastructure, a wireless telephone company. They do actually have a wireless telephone company out in Africa, but it doesn't reach the U.S. So good luck with that, right? So, it's going to be hard pressing for black people to actually just completely, go cold turkey and not supporting or buying these products from these list of sponsors the NFL has. It's going to be completely hard because, again, if you're going to boycott something, you have to replace it with something else. Right? So that's the thing about it, man. But, again, Marshawn Lynch, he sat out. It's cool, but this is nothing new. He's been doing this for, a while with these not singing for the national anthem. Another player that's woke. He's a conscious brother, knows where he's from. He always talks about Africa, where he's from. So he's not no lost Negro coon like some of these other dudes. But at the same time, again, when it comes to that money, these players will not sacrifice that paycheck. They need that money. It is what it is. And here's the thing, another thing about these NFL players that I'd say probably a good 90% of these players aren't millionaires. They're not. They're thousandaires, So they work paycheck to paycheck. I know a couple of NFL players that live in my neighborhood. Okay. In Miami Gardens. So these guys, my point is that these guys do depend on these NFL paychecks to pay their bills, to take care of their families, et cetera, et cetera. So boycotting the NFL and sacrificing money, that's something that will never happen. These guys need that money. They're too dependent on their resources. The old billionaires boy club's resources. They're too dependent on them. And the same thing, and honestly, the same thing generally for black people. We need their resources. We need our smartphones. We need our social media, right? Which, I've always been an advocate on separating from the resources they own and control, which is why I'm a huge advocate on supporting our brother Daryl Cluis of Blackspot.com. That site has to get better, but in only for it to get better, we need to support it financially, right? With as little as $5 a month. Y'all can check out my link for Blackspot.com in the description. But yeah, I mean, it's a mixture of, we're depending on their resources. We have Stockholm Syndrome. We have cognitive dissonance. We have PTSD, post-traumatic slavery disorder / syndrome. All of that and above. We have all that stuff that we need to deal with. And again, this boycott is not going to work unless the players are involved, actually sacrificing their paychecks, sacrificing, their livelihood just to seek justice. That's what justice takes. It takes huge sacrifice, huge risks. A symbolic victory by sitting for the national anthem, that's cool. Get your photo op on. Again, the white supremacists will complain to Roger Goodell. I've already seen the change.org petitions, new ones, talking about these niggers need to stand up and respect our flag, our country. I've seen it. So that, again, that's something we don't need. We need to completely, in order for the NFL boycott to be effective, we need to completely shut down the NFL sponsors, not support them at all, not buy their products. At the same time, build a parallel infrastructure in comparison to these NFL sponsors. Because again, if you boycott something, you need something to replace it with. So start building up these companies that are like McDonald's, like Hyundai, Verizon, Anheuser-Busch, FedEx, Visa, right? We need to start building our own infrastructure similar to these particular companies that we depend on so much, right? Microsoft, which I'm using right now. You know what I'm saying? So we're in too deep, man. We're in way too deep for this boycott. It's not going to be effective unless we do all of that and above. It's going to be extremely hard. Basically impossible, but it takes time. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So anyway, family, those are my thoughts on that, on the Marshawn Lynch sitting for the national anthem and his NFL boycott. That this change.org petition has been updated with sponsors, but it's still not enough. It's still not enough because the players have to be involved and sacrifice themselves and their livelihood. And we got to really go cold turkey on these sponsors as well. We can't support them. And at the same time, build our own infrastructure similar to them. You know what I mean? It takes time. All right, family. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Leave your comments down below in the comment section. All right, family. Until next time, Chauncey, a.k.a. the Black Separatist, signing out. Peace.